thank you for your attendance. Do we have anyone on the confirmation of,
Just before that, Mr. Mayor, can I just want to clarify something from last meeting? Just in regards to Councillor Edwards, he did attend the meetings till the 10th of November. Just want to put that out there just in case people think he's been off a bit longer, and he's been on various teams and phone hookups since, so just want to put that clarification in there.
You pointed at me, were you clarifying
Well,
something I said?
Yeah, he said September.
Yeah, it's, in the chamber?
Yeah,
Since
no,
September.
he was in the Strat meeting in November.
In September.
November.
November, sorry about that.
Just wanted to get it out there.
So September, November.
okay, so, and, no, that's fine, and obviously for the public listening to this, councillors are quite entitled to attend meetings by phone, and that is actually attending and doing the meeting as per normal, so it's up to each individual councillor how they wish to attend when they do attend under the Local Government Act.
Mr. Mayor, can I do a vote of thanks this morning before we start the ordinary meeting, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm just very aware that most of us attended the Injune centenary last week, and it was a week full of so many different events, and I just want to give a vote of thanks to the CHIPS committee, the Cultural Heritage Injune Preservation Society. I think they had lots and lots of willing helpers, but there were two on whose shoulders the bulk of the organisation fell, and I think that I'd like to acknowledge those two ladies as well as all their helpers, but Veronica Pringle and Janice Humphreys did an outstanding job for over 12 months of pulling it together and liaising with people and coordinating all the subcommittees, and just everybody I spoke to said it was a wonderful, wonderful week of activities, and I just would like to give a public vote of thanks to those two particularly, but wider to the Injune community and all who pulled together for it to occur as it did.
And so that would encompass all of the volunteers?
All the volunteers, everybody. There were people who came forward who have a very low profile but who then stepped up to enable it to occur as it did, and it was very successful.
Righto. So you're happy to move that?
Yes, I'm very happy to move that.
I'll second that. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Yeah, that's right. It has been.
Okay.
You right, George? Yeah, good.
Mr. Mayor, I just feel that I need to acknowledge, I agree with everything Councillor Guthrie said, but I met with Veronica Pringle yesterday and she was saying how wonderful the event was. She actually said how amazing and what a great work that Jane Vincent did in the community. I just feel that we need to add Jane Vincent to that because Veronica actually raised that with me of how much she stood up. So it was actually the three of them who were doing that. So I just want to add that.
Mr. Mayor, I was very, very mindful that if you go to all of the individual days, there were keynote people who stepped up and did an amazing thing for that particular event or that particular event. I think why I deliberately chose the two ladies is because they are the face of CHIPS, and there were lots of people who contributed, and I really didn't want to then start identifying, knowing that I'd leave people out, so I just went with the two CHIPS ladies. And I agree, Jane did a great job, but so too did so many others that were there during the week.
I'm just passing on what Veronica Pringle said to me yesterday as a councillor about Jane.
And I was up there for the night function, and it was said as well. So you've also got Darren that coordinated the cattle sale, which was a massive effort, 1,000 heads. So it just goes on and on. All of the people, and I know when I was speaking to the people in question, they were saying whenever they didn't even really need to ask, someone would come up and say, do you want a hand with something? So it was a great community effort all the way around. So, righto. Well, then we'll move on. Righto, so does anyone want to move on the minutes of the 8th of June? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 8th of June 2022 be confirmed.
And do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbroke. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
8-0.
8-0. Thank you. Righto, moving on. 34, is it? Page 34, 5.1, the big rig Roma admissions. Do we have a mover? Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that Council 1 receives a notes report in setting the 1st of April 2023 to the 30th of March 2024 entrance fees for the big rig. 2, endorses a local residents entrance fee of $5 per visit for anyone residing in the local government area. And 3, establish a pass of $200 a year for locals. And 4, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to provide quotations for other users outside of normal business hours.
We have a seconder. Councillor Hancock, any opposition?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to, not an opposition, just like to ask a question.
Please go ahead.
I know Councillor Taylor has changed .3, which is fine. That $200 per year pass, what does that cover? Like,
Well, the walking pass was so that people could just do the stairs, which is fine. That gives them 40 trips up and down the stairs. But I just wondered if maybe they, might want to take the lift one day or something. I don't know if saying walking means that they can't just do the lift. So they're still a resident, and it's still,
what I'm referring to, we've got $5 resident fee
Yes.
per visit. Then we've changed the other one to an open $200 for anything. Is that the way I
If they
read it?
if they want a yearly pass, yeah.
So it's a bit conflicting to me.
Well, some people might not want a yearly pass. They might be just having to pay $5 each
Some
time
people
they
might
go.
only go twice a year, but other people might want to go 40 times a year.
It-
Okay.
Some
Yeah, okay,
people are
yeah.
running up and down the stairs
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's what
No,
I was.
just-
That's just what I was
I just
thinking.
have a question.
Well, Councillor Hancock, then Guthrie.
Councillor Taylor, is that, I guess the other thing by taking the walking out and just making passes, that sort of minimise our risk too of advertising that
You've got a yearly pass.
it is about that walking? I guess
Yeah.
it's probably taking out that risk. It's just an annual pass that
Just an
people
annual-
can do. They
an
can walk the
annual-
stairs or they can take the lift.
Yeah,
They can,
just an annual pass. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, do we have it was Councillor Guthrie had a question?
Yeah, my query was just the wording in number 2, $5 per visit for anybody residing in the local government area. I just felt that was really open, as in what does residing mean, as in short term? I wondered whether the wording should be a bit tighter, something like providing proof of residency in the local area. So for example, if you are saying that you are residing there, what are you expected to show? And is that clear in that particular motion?
So is the mover or the happy to change that, or are you happy to keep it
What do
the
you
way
want
it
to
is?
say, Julie?
Something like providing proof of residency. So for example, you'd bring a driver's licence that says your address is whatever. If not, you could have somebody coming here for 6 weeks.
Happy
and
to
they-
do that.
Just pass it around, hey, pass the pass
Councillor
around.
O'Neill.
Does not the first part of that make it clear, endorses a
local-
local residence entrance fee?
Okay, so I'm just asking a hypothetical question.
You
How
just want
long
them
do
to
you have?
prove-
How long do you have to be living here to become a local resident? And is that somebody who has not changed their electoral roll, hasn't changed their driver's licence? They're here coming to stay with their daughter for 6 weeks. Does that make them a local resident?
Well, no, someone staying here for a few weeks isn't a local resident, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, we're having this conversation about what is a local resident.
Councillor Taylor was happy to change the motion.
Happy to change that. If-
Just
just
providing
Righto, so can we
provide
get some
proof,
wording on,
if that's
yeah.
what you want.
$5 per visit.
while we're doing
For
that, Ms.
anybody
Max,
providing proof of residence.
could I just ask the director, operationally, how would you see this happening? Because this is an operational thing where council's endorsing a local residence fee. Operationally, how would you manage that?
I would suspect if they didn't know the individual, that they would be actually asking for some sort of proof of residency, be it a driver's license, or if they do have a a rent agreement or something like that, some other form of bill. But most likely people will be able to produce that evidence by having their driver's license, because I think if you're only here for 6 weeks, you're unlikely to change that for that duration.
So is the mover happy with what's
Thank
been
you.
changed up there?
That's fine, yep.
Righto, second, are happy with that? Yeah, Councillor Hancock?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'll speak against the motion. I certainly had wished that for residents, you know, it is a tourist attraction, a visitor attraction, but for residents that it would be able to be free. If you look at the amount of funding for this project, it's probably in line with a botanical park for Roma, and with the amount of expenditure, and if we had one of those, we would not be charging. So I don't believe, I think the residents should have some value out of, you know, a major council expenditure, and will be a major council expenditure for considerable amount of time. So I certainly won't be supporting the motion. Does anyone wish to speak for the motion?
I just have a
Councillor Hancock?
I just have a question, through you, Mr Mayor, to the Director, just clarifying, the resident entrance fee of the $5 actually gets them into the big rig facility for the whole facility as a resident, isn't it? It's not just about the tower and tree walk?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against or for the motion?
I just, well, through you, Mr Mayor, just in light of what Councillor Hancock asked, that $200 pass lets you through the door, doesn't it? So you can go anywhere, not just the tree walk.
That's right.
And if you pay $5 per visit, you get the same thing. Yeah, so that's well, I won't be supporting this, Mr Mayor, because it takes me back to the swimming pool thing. It's totally, what's the word, affecting the people that can't afford to spend a $200 up front in one hit. Same we had at the swimming pool, they couldn't afford to put $400 up in one hit. So the people that can do that could get into the pool. This one here, they can go 7 days a week, 34, well not 7 days, but nearly 7 days every week, most weeks, for $200. And the people that can't afford to put $200 up in one hit have got to pay $5 every time they go through the door. So that's totally inadequate, I believe.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion?
No, I'll have a question.
Please go ahead.
Councillor Mullen, what do you think, what do you think should happen?
I don't believe we should have a yearly pass, same as the pool. That was never ever fair. That's my opinion.
So you just think a $5
$5 when you go in there,
entrance?
yeah.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Does the mover wish to sum up? I don't think you spoke. Councillor O'Neill?
I'm happy to speak in favour of it. I think that the $5 entry fee in the first year of operation is a positive one. It puts value on the investment that both council and the community through rates and the state government have made into what I think ultimately will be a good draw card to keep people in our community an extra night, hopefully before they go in the other little directions to stay overnight within the Maranoa as well. We need something to keep them here, and I know when family visit me, that will incentivise me to go with them. Just as Longreach has done with their key tourism assets by having a cheaper fare for residents to go in, or they certainly did when I lived in Longreach, 17 years ago. So I think this is a positive thing. In terms of the $200 a year, I think I'm happy to support it. I think it's been complicated now, with all due respect to my learned colleague, by taking out the walking, because the intent was to provide an incentive to someone that wants to walk up and down the tree walk, a few times a week, instead of them having to pay what would be quite an expensive amount across the 12 months. give them a $200 a year pass to be able to do a bit of exercise. They can still do that by it saying an annual pass. So I think it is, we're incentivising people that want to maintain some high level of activity by offering a yearly pass. I don't think there's an inequity in that, because if I only want to go there a couple of times a year to walk up it, well, I'll just pay $5. But if I want to go, more than that, and it exceeds the $200 per year, then it is in my favour to pay an annual pass. So I think that's smart. At least a trial for 12 months. I mean, we can change these fees next year. The next council can change them altogether. But at least we've got something to start to encourage locals to go and have a look. And to take the people to come and visit them to what is a stellar investment in terms of our tourism assets for the region. So I'm going to support this, and I think the work that the staff have done by taking on the feedback of councillors and coming up with a good recommendation.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against or for? Councillor Guthrie.
Well, I was actually going to vote for this because I'm very much in favour of having a facility in our town that is available to our local residents and to encourage them to attend. And I know that when we did the opening, a lot of local people did come and see and express a lot of excitement about the fact that there's something new and accessible to them. But after the discussions with my learned other councillors here, I am also of the belief we've got local parks that we don't charge people to go to. We have local facilities that are council supported and endorsed and subsidised. To me, a local person should be able to attend the big rig. And if you have visitors coming, so for example, if I have family coming, I have been to the big rig. I have been up the tower many times. I would like to think I would take people and say this is well worth going to see. But I'd like to think that if I'm bringing people in many times, that it should be accessible because I'm actually advocating for the community. So I'm going to vote against it today only because I think it should be number 3 and 4. I just think it should be accessible to local residents free of charge upon proof of them being residents of the Maranoa.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Just one thing, Mayor, through you, is Ken Wahisan here. Just to protect the people who do the physical exercise as a business, using this place to go up and down as their exercise. I think we need to put something for that, because that's their business and they are going to use this one as a facility to get the people to run up and down. I think they need to pay, I think. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hancock, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think that $5 isn't much, and I agree that it is a community facility, but by paying $5, I think you're asking the community to invest in a small way into keeping and upgrading their own facility. I think that I think nothing these days are worth nothing. I think that we need to as a community, I would be happy to pay $5 to take my family up there, and not only because it is not just about the big rig, it's actually opening it up so that they can experience the whole facility as a tourism facility. I think that $5 is affordable to anybody across our community, and so therefore I think it's important that we ask our community to partner with council in a small way to be able to keep providing this facility into the future of the Maranoa.
Okay, so does the mover wish to sum up? I don't think you spoke to it, but...
Yes, I will, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
I just can't believe that you wouldn't expect people to pay for what just the upkeep alone, we're not going to win anyway. So $5, as Councillor Hancock said, is $5. The $200, they don't have to buy a yearly pass. Like, that's just an option for those that are going to run the stairs 5 times a day or whatever they're going to do. So I just believe to say no to this and not charge the locals $5 is just irresponsible. I just think we have to maintain this every day. We have to staff it every day. And to say that, you know, it should be free, it's just not, it shouldn't be free, full stop. So don't support it if you don't want to, that's fine, but I think you're on the wrong track.
Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? And I'll use my casting vote to vote against it. So loss.
Can I move a
Yeah.
what's the word, motion, please? I'd like to move.
Can I just first call for division?
Sorry.
Okay, please go ahead, Councillor McKnight.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that council, one, receive and note the report in setting the 1st of April 2023 to 30th of March 2024 entrance fees for the big rig. 2, endorse a local residents entrance fee for $5 per visit for anybody residing by providing proof of residence in the local area. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to provide quotations for other uses outside of normal business.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Ladbrook, any opposition? I'll speak in opposition. Does Move wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'm all for charging $5 per visit. I'm just not in agreement with the $200 pass because it's not fair and equitable to the lower income workers.
Okay, I'll speak against. There again, I've got the same views that I do believe when you look at what council has spent here, it's in line with the Botanical Park for Roma, and I do believe that would be free, and I do believe this should be free to locals by providing evidence. Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak in favour of this for the same reasons that I articulated before. I think the investment of $5 per resident to access this is an appropriate fee level. It is a reduction of what is the normal entry fee for this particular asset, and it should encourage more of our residents, one, to go and have a look themselves, and then take friends and family when they visit the region. I am a little bit disappointed that there isn't an annual fee, only because I think the argument that it's not fair and equitable is contrary to the reality, where if I am someone of a lower income earner, then $200 a year, if I want to walk up and down that, is far better than paying $5 every day. And so I'm disappointed that that's out, but I am going to support this resolution because I do think there should be a fee. This isn't a botanical gardens. This is a major tourism asset of the region, not dissimilar, I might add, to the Mitchell Spa. And I haven't heard anyone here suggest that there should be free entry to the Mitchell Spa for residents. So therefore, I do think a reduced fee of $5 for this particular asset, which has had a major upgrade this year, I think is an appropriate one, and I think the community will welcome it.
Does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Does the Move wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 6-2 if I can call for a division. (11.1) Selective Inspection Program 2022. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that council resolve one, that under section 1131 of the Animal Management Cats and Dogs Act 2008 AMCAD, council approves a selective inspection program to allow authorised persons to enter and inspect selected properties in part of its local government area. 2, in accordance with section 1135A of the AMCAD Act 2008, the purpose of the program is to monitor compliance with the Chapter 3 registration and Chapter 4 regulated dog provisions of the AMA. 3, in accordance with section 1135B and E of the AMCAD Act 2008, the program will commence on Thursday the 1st of September and conclude on Wednesday the 30th of November 2022. 4, in accordance with section 1135C of the AMCAD Act 2008, inspections may occur in premises situated within the townships of Amby, Injune, Jackson, Mitchell, Muckadilla, Mungalala, Roma, Surat, Wallumbilla and Yuwa, being the areas defined as designated town areas in Schedule 3 of Subordinate Local Law Number 2, Animal Management 2011, where an authorised person has reasonable belief that an unregistered and or regulated dog may be present. 5, in accordance with section 114 of the AMCAD Act 2008, a public notice will be given in the local news publications on the week commencing the 1st of August 2022 and on the council website and social media platforms stating that the program will commence on Thursday the 1st of September and conclude on Wednesday the 30th of November 2022. And 6, on identification of an unregistered dog on premises, that officers issue an advisory notice for registration to be paid within 14 days, upon which, if no action is taken, a fine will be issued.
We have a seconder. Councillor Hancock. Any opposition? I'll speak in opposition. Does the Mayor wish to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. Just to say that this selective inspection program has been running for a number of years. I can't remember how many now, but a number of years. It proves successful in ensuring that people are compliant with having registered dogs, because at the end of the day, if you're a dog owner or in a lot of cases a cat owner, you take responsibility for the animals in which you have invested your time and energy and in some cases a lot of money to have as a pet. I think this compliance program is broadly supported. Of course, there are going to be some squeaky wheels that suggest otherwise, but the reports that we've had back to this council, particularly over the last 2 years, but for the Deputy Mayor and Mayor, you'll recall the ones in the previous terms, it proves a success, and it shows that we've got far more compliant people in our region that take the responsibility of being an animal owner incredibly seriously than do not. So I'm happy to support this.
I'll speak against the motion. I'll speak against the motion on behalf of the people of the Maranoa that have spoken to me about that they're horrified that this will authorise council officers to enter residents' yards and without anyone being home. So I won't be supporting it on that basis. I also note that sadly the amount of dog attacks and that, I don't think that has come down. In fact, it's actually got worse since we've been doing this. I think there'd be other ways to do this, and I don't believe it's in line with community expectations. Does anyone wish to speak for the motion?
Question.
Please go ahead.
Can the officers just go into someone's yard without authority? Can they just go in?
Please go ahead.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Ladbrook, what we do, this actual resolution gives us a special power of entry to enter into a person's yard just for the period of this program. Doesn't give us power of entry to enter into a dwelling of any type.
Yeah.
Our officers always, though, would prefer a person to be home. We yell out, we knock, we leave a calling card to say that we've been there even if someone wasn't there, and we just walk around to see if there are animals on the premises. In saying that, if your animal's registered, and we've got record of that, we don't go to your property. So we only go to properties where we suspect an unregistered animal to be there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion or against? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 7-1, if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on.
Mayor, can I just ask, someone's got a device on that's
Yeah.
providing a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
just-
feedback?
It's echoing.
I haven't got a device with me. So
No, mine's off.
your speaker off? You open your screen up to Teams, isn't it?
I wouldn't be on. I wouldn't have it was on.
Go back to, no, Teams. I don't, go to your calendar.
I think it stopped.
I stopped it, right.
Sitting around for a while. So
Oh, no, it
I think
isn't.
if you do need
Open your calendar up to a
to-
date.
Councillor Mullen has a DCLI on this one,
Today.
at page 53.
Would it be from the
I
other
don't think
room?
it'd be on.
And that's what I said. I think Anna was checking there before I do.
That might work now, I think.
You're not,
Correctly?
he's not
No,
joined to
that
ten.
sounds fine.
No,
Yeah.
not all.
He's not
I
joined.
think it was internal.
Okay, 11.2, tender 22000, auctioneering services for disposal of non-current vehicles, plant and equipment and assets. I move that this lay on the table till later in the meeting for councillors to receive the whole tender on this matter.
Yep.
All those in favour?
The whole what, sorry?
Tender documents? So everyone was in favour of that, so that's 8-0, the way I read it. Item 13.1, commercial use of local government controlled area, request to set up a market stall. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 approve the request to set up a commercial marketing stall at Roma Saleyards in accordance with the hire of Roma Saleyards policy. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to nominate appropriate conditions.
We have a seconder. Councillor Ladbrook, do you have a question?
Just a really quick one. Do we charge them for that? I couldn't see anything in here, but
I was only just thinking that myself, so I'll have to get back to you with an answer to that one.
just out of total curiosity.
So, but we'll keep going with the vote, with the debate. Does anyone wish to speak to this motion or against? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Item 13.2, Queensland Connects Regional Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I would like to move that Council 1 note and acknowledge Roma Commerce and Tourism success in attracting the Queensland Connects Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program workshop to Roma. 2, provide access to the sale yards and interpretive centre for an evening event on the 27th of July 2022. 3, provide access to the visitor centre, oil path and tower, should be oil patch I think, yeah, and tower and tree walk for a dinner event on the 28th of July 2022. Waive entrance fees to the Big Rig Night Show and Sunset Experience for workshop delegates who wish to participate in the experience on July 2022, and provide in-kind support by way of access to the council bus for transport of delegates between the airport, accommodation and evening events.
Yep. Councillor Guthrie seconds it. Do you have a question,
Yeah, I do.
Councillor Hancock?
I do, thanks, Mr Mayor. I actually have 2 questions. Just on point 4, Deputy Mayor, I'm just wondering, could we put a date in there instead of on July 2022? Is that meant to be the 28th of July or the 29th of July?
I just got a text, I can tell you the exact date, we just got the things.
Yeah, like just instead of we're really saying it's for all of July. While we're waiting for that, I just also have a question regarding
Through the chair, it's the 27th of July.
20,
27th.
Yes.
Was the dinners on the 27th?
27th of July. Will it interfere with the existing sunset experience? Like, will that interfere with the existing? Is there, with how many people can we have? Is there already a maximum number of people that can go into that participate in the experience?
just about
40 people.
yeah. But I was just going to say, there's only approximately about 40 at the most for this.
Yeah.
For this
3 days.
Yeah. So my question is about how, is there a maximum that can actually go onto that experience?
So through the Mayor, yes, I spoke to our Big Rig coordinator and she didn't believe that was going to be a significant issue. In discussing the timeframes of the different events with RCAT themselves, it's a fairly tight timeframe that allows them really just enough time to go up the tower and back down the tower and then go to dinner. So people would have to make the choice probably between attending the whole of the dinner or attending the night show experience. So we're just making it available for those visitors from out of town that may wish to do that. But it's probably difficult to say how many will take it up, but probably unlikely to be the whole 40. But looking at the size of the facility, I think it should be sufficient. space if they did want to participate in it.
And thank you, but I just now have another question because you sort of said about the dinner and the timing, but I'm noting that the date we've put in here for the 27th of July, but the dinner's on the 28th of July. So I just wonder, should we just put the 27th, 28th, 29th of July? Like,
Yes.
just give them 3 days to go and
Dinner's on the
experience.
27th.
Says
At
20
Bex.
But then,
It
27th.
says 28.
I've got
but
this.
there's a dinner on the 28th here. That's
What I
point
got through,
3.
I know they've given me today the official date. The 27th will be the dinner, and yes, Thursday's the 28th, but one of them's at the sale yards.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's still, because a lot of this has got to be approved by QUT, not the programming, so I'm not sure if they've worked out, I haven't spoke to Deb, like, which one's going to be what night, if that makes sense.
Deputy Mayor, would you just be in favour of just putting 3 dates?
Yeah,
down there,
27th,
28th and
28th,
29th, because
yeah.
they might be able to fit it in outside of those other commitments.
They won't have to come back to council
Yeah, if there's a change, yeah.
Change of
So maybe it's
fine.
from 27th to the 29th of
Yeah.
July or something like that. Point 4, where it just says on July, yep, 27th to the 29th of July.
Mm-hmm.
in the letter.
In the letter, yeah.
And-
It's not in the resolution, that's all.
Through the mayor, I do believe dot point 2 should be the 28th and dot point 3 should be the 27th
Yeah.
of July.
Oh, thank you.
That's based on the information that they provided
But
to us,
Councillor Guthrie just read
but
that in the
it
letter. I didn't have the letter.
it may have changed at some point in time.
No, through the chair, page 66 corresponds with that, yep.
So have we changed those dates?
Well, the 27th to the 29th covers it anyway.
But is point 2 right and point 3 right?
It has been corrected now to the correct dates, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, my understanding, all councillors will get an invitation to the dinner. Well, might have been, but I can't remember, but definitely the dinner. Is it? Yeah.
My other question is, so there's some in-kind happening. Do we charge that? We should be charging that internally somewhere?
It's just on there now, councillor.
Oh, beautiful, with funds drawn from, thank you.
Okay, so is the mover happy with this,
Yeah, Mr Mayor, yeah.
changes and that, so as it stands? And, who was the seconder for that? Have we got one yet? Councillor Guthrie, are you happy with that as well?
That's good.
Okay, so does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Or
Mr
against?
Mayor, I just think,
Please
probably
go ahead.
congratulations to Deb. I mean, the whole committee were involved, but Deb really pushed hard with QUT, and last time we were in Brisbane, they decided that they made the official announcement that they would bring it to Roma, so it's, at that particular meeting, there was 39 people, and we're envisaging they might, like some of them had 10 in their team, they may not all turn up, but I'd think it'd be a minimum of 30 to 35 anyway. So it'll be all help with a bit of input into the town motels and that. As I said, QUT fund most of it. The local group's got a little bit of money left and they're spending what they can, what they would have had for us to fly down there and accommodation for the 5 of us, I think it is. They've got that money up their sleeve, so that'll be spent, in some of this stuff anyway.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Page 72.
Thank you, Anna.
Oh, sorry, page 61. That's the same one, isn't it?
Yeah. So is there any more on that? Did we have any other items on that? Yeah, 72. Yeah, it's not in mine, I think it actually.
72 and 76 to finish the open.
So I must have come through. Just take that.
Item 14.1, request for colour run on Adungadoo pathway. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 give permission for Eva's Place to use the Adungadoo pathway for a colour run fundraising event on 6 August 2022, and 2, advise the Adungadoo pathway concrete advised that Adungadoo pathway concrete surfaces must be washed clean and all areas used for the event to be left tidy and clean.
We have a second, Councillor Burkett. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? I'll speak. I think anything way we can help Eva's Place is it's a very good cause, and their future plans, it's good to support them in any way. So I'll certainly be supporting this motion. Okay, well then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. 17.1, Adavale Oil Riggers Memorial at the Big Rig. Do we have a mover? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that a report be prepared for an upcoming meeting of council in relation to options and costings of such a plaque memorial so that it can be considered as part of the 2022-23 budget or at a subsequent quarterly review.
We have a second at Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Councillor Guthrie.
I raised this because I was in receipt of an email from some of the family members of those who had passed away at this particular aircraft disaster. They will be holding a ceremony, I won't say commemoration, but they'll be holding something to acknowledge the loss of lives. And these were riggers that were coming off a shift, and they were very keen to see if we could have something that marked the passing here in Roma, maybe at the Big Rig, to enable people who are travelling out to Adavale. And it was just, to me, appropriate that because it's an oil and gas museum or because it's actually a big rig, maybe a memorial or just even a marker or a sign or some sort of plaque would be appropriate.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Mr Mayor, I agree with everything Councillor Guthrie said. I didn't know these people personally, but I did cross paths with them, and it was a tragedy.
Okay, no one else wish to speak. We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Okay, moving on to the late.
Now, in relation to this one, it needs to lay on the table because you've got a strategic report.
All right. L1, proposed sale of Newbon Street, Roma. I move that this lay on the table till later in the meeting.
Now, Mr Mayor, can I amend that amendment?
Yeah.
I was going to ask to lay it on the table to follow C3.
Righto. Okay. So I'm happy if you move that. All those in favour? 8-0.
And the next one is page 4.
L2, monthly financial report as at 31st of May 2022. We have a mover. Please go ahead.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Madam CEO, just on page 7 when it talks about the capital revenue, it's saying that our external funding will be received knowing that the flood restoration works will be completed well below original estimates and therefore revenue to be claimed will be well below forecast. And I did note in here it is actually quite below. Why is that? Why is it so far below?
Through the chair, look, in relation to the submissions that are made for QRA, estimates are made. The QRA actually pay on actual, so except where that actual may be higher than the estimate, and then obviously there's some negotiation there. So our estimates for the flood program were in the vicinity of 20-odd million. The actual, when we're looking at what we will deliver by the 30th of June, are somewhere between 12 and 13 million. So there's roughly about a 44-45% completion of those works under that estimate. So it's just how the QRA process actually works. In my conversations with the Deputy Director, what he said is what you're seeing is that council have been very efficient in how they've delivered those floodworks. They've delivered the majority themselves, and as a result, they've been able to bring them in significantly under budget, and that it's certainly an example of how councils can do this work really well and provide a value back to the state in relation to that.
And so all of the flood works will be completed by 30th of June? We're not sending any money back because we haven't completed any of the flood works?
No, no, our expectation is that we won't. We're currently sitting at about 83%. We're expecting that those works will be completed by the 30th of June or shortly thereafter, and then and we'll be making our claims accordingly. There will be additional cash flow coming in just prior to the 30th of June, but there's a retention amount that's held after the submissions, roughly 10%, which will come through in July or August once that work's completed and audited.
Righto, so do we have a mover for that one? We have a mover, Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ended 31 May 2022.
We have a second, Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Just have a question too,
Please
sorry.
go ahead.
I'm on page 11. The outstanding rates for May 2022, in April it was the 6653, and in May it's, so we've only got $300,000 in the month for rates? Is that how that is? Is that normal?
Just through the chair, just if you wouldn't mind, just you've got a number of tables here, so you're talking about those figures. Are you talking about the dollar figure in table 2 or the payment arrangements? Or
I'm just talking about the dollar figure on the rates outstanding balance May 2022.
yeah.
two
Certainly, I can take that question on notice. In answer to your question, yes, $300,000 has been what's collected during the month. Is that a typical month? Through the chair, I can certainly happy to take that question and give you a response back from the rates department about whether that's an expected amount of arrears. We have been short in relation to staffing during that time, but at the same point, a lot of our debt recovery does come from external support. So I can ask that question.
So a lot of people don't take up the discount as in paying it on time, obviously?
Look, through the chair, you have extended the discount for a number of rate assessments this year.
Okay.
However, when, invariably when balances are outstanding and they've been outstanding for a certain amount of time, obviously they're not accessing that.
Thank you.
Councillor Guthrie.
Just following on from that question through the Mayor, Madam CEO, I'm also assuming that would include supplementary rate notices that have been issued during that time,
Yep.
for which some of those we've actually, through the council meetings, extended the payment date. So that would have impact there of people who are in the process of paying supplementary extended dates.
Less than 30 though.
Yes.
Yeah, but they were still very significant. Some of those are very significant,
Yeah,
big
but
money.
this is based on numbers of assessments.
But I was looking at the dollar value as
That's
councillor, as you were saying, Wendy.
Yep, and certainly I appreciate the question. Is that a typical month, or has it been impacted by a lot of those supplementary notices?
Yeah, I just thought it was low, that's all.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Happy to take that question.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to ask, this is to the end of May, obviously, so a lot of people do leave their rates. They're not really due till the 30th of June, are they? That's the final, is that correct? You can pay them on the 29th of June and you're still,
Certainly.
so we probably get, I'm only submitting.
Without the discount.
Oh, without the discount, yeah, but a lot of people don't worry about the discount in some cases, because they,
It's 5%.
5%, one bloke,
And
don't
maybe
even
that's
save him a
something
carton
we
of
could look
beer,
at,
one bloke said, so he doesn't worry about it, yeah.
to be honest.
Sorry?
Maybe that's something we could look at, the discount,
Oh, for sure.
at some
Yeah,
stage.
no, that's fine.
Okay, so does anyone wish to speak to the motion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. L.3 Contract Plumber for Injune for the period of 2022 to 2023. Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that 1, council engage the trustee for Portbury Family Trust, trading as Portbury's Plumbing Service Proprietary Limited, to complete the Injune plumbing maintenance works as required for the financial year 2022-23. 2, this engagement be from the 1st of July 2022 to the 30th of June 2023. 3, the engagement be made in accordance with Section 235A of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that the local government resolves it is satisfied that there is only one supplier who is reasonably available. And 4, council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute the deed of agreement.
We have a second, Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Please go ahead.
I'd just like to say that the Portbury family have been providing a plumbing service in Injune for a long period of time, and they've also been able to provide a service to the council in the last couple of years that I'm aware of, and even before that. So to me, it's a great outcome for both Injune and for the council up that part of the Maranoa.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Page 21.
Thank you. L.4 QRL Hostplus Country Week request for assistance. Councillor Burkett,
I've got a conflict of interest, Mr Mayor.
please go ahead.
On item L4, description, QRL Hostplus Country Week request for assistance, declaring councillors myself, party with interest as myself. Particulars of the interest, I have a conflict as I'm the president of the Mitchell District Rugby League Football Club and we play in the Roma District Rugby League competition. Type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I will take as I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
I just have a question for Councillor Burkett.
Please go ahead.
Councillor Burkett, I've just got a question before you leave, sorry. I'm a bit confused that you do have a conflict because you engaged in the briefing on it.
Well, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been in that.
No, well, I think it was morning tea, wasn't it?
No, it was a
It was a formal
briefing.
briefing.
So you definitely do?
Well, yeah, and I probably didn't realise at the time, but indirectly, it's not anything to do with our club as such, but because we're under the Roma District League, potentially benefits could come from that, and I probably shouldn't have sat on that one in there, but...
Okay, no, I just make sure you actually do, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
And I think it was morning tea, so I've got a different view than councillors on that.
Oh, it was in our
Okay, I'd
briefing-
like
It was in
to
our briefing
move.
sheets.
Beg
It
pardon?
was in our briefing sheets.
Yeah, but we also did it at morning tea, I believe.
It was on the
Because we're
agenda
running
for a
late.
briefing, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, but as I said, it was done at morning tea.
I don't think that matters, though, does it?
I think it actually does matter that it was at
Wasn't in the
morning
meeting.
tea.
It was still a formal part, though.
I don't believe, because we have those things out here, so
But wasn't it because we were running late that they joined us
And we
for morning
invited
tea?
them to have a meeting.
I actually understood it was at morning tea.
It doesn't matter, I just
No.
wanted
In the
to make
big
sure that it
picture,
was.
I
and
don't
so,
think it
yeah.
counts. I don't think it's a
Okay,
big deal.
anyway, we'll get on with the agenda. I'd like to move that council approve $10,000 in-kind assistance for the QRL Hostplus Country Week event from the in-kind assistant major GL 2887.2248.2001 as part of the 2022-23 budget by way of A, provision of machinery and operators to spread, water and roll, provide road base / scalps over existing driveways and roadways around the main oval and car park. B, mowing and slashing of areas surrounding city's second field and along the Creek Street. C, provision of bollards including delivery and pickup. D, approval of supplementary requests within scope of the event pending available resources. And then 2, investigate the request to have sewage connected to the town sewage system required to upgrade the new junior rugby league clubhouse. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbrook, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? I certainly do. I believe any way we can support having these large events in our region. It's a big deal for the clubs involved. I think at morning tea we were it was described how other clubs will benefit from this, and it's a sort of a Maranoa effort. So I certainly believe that this is something that should be supported, and there will be enough pressure on everyone to deliver that. So I do believe that anything council can do can try and take the weight off and make it a successful event, so they may wish to hold something in the future. Does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0.
Mr Mayor, through you to the CEO, I just wonder, given the discussion that just was had before, and I won't hone in on the specifics, but there's obviously a different interpretations that people are taking of the Local Government Act in relation to what is and what isn't a briefing, and what is and what isn't a workshop, and what is and what isn't a conflict. Can we get some advice so that we're not determining that ourselves, that we are actually adhering to what the rules and the legislation says for us, given there's obviously your different perspectives that are being thrown around the room?
I agree, Mr Mayor, because I've always said, and I might be wrong, when we go in there, we shouldn't be discussing council stuff at all. And I know we've done it, and I've been part of it,
Yeah.
and for time constraints and things like that. But once you adjourn for morning tea, it's the meetings or the briefings. That's my interpretation of it. If you adjourn for morning or lunch, but I know what you're saying. And
I suppose, Jeff, when you invite someone in, though, and we did, that continues the discussion, and it was on the formal agenda. We can't rely on my interpretation, the Mayor's interpretations, your interpretation, Councillor Taylor's. We need advice on this, because there are some really stringent rules now, and we've received the advice from the department. They've given us their clear, view of the flavour of the legislation. I think we need something to guide us on this, because no one wants a question mark over anything that we do as a councillor.
Look, just through the chair, just to assist in that regard, is we have got advice, obviously from the department. Specifically, there's a bit of discussion here, there's differences of opinion. How do you want me to articulate that so I can get clear advice?
It's probably, if we take this offline,
Yes.
to actually get the specifics of what to ask for. The example that has led to this conversation is probably a perfect example to put to someone to make a determination, so that it gives us guidance as what to do into the future.
Sure.
Councillor Guthrie?
Mr Mayor, I'm not against getting legal clarification, but
Doesn't have to be legal.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting legal.
But I'm also just going to say, when we go in there for morning tea, the practice over the past 2 years that I've been on council is there are people that slip out for morning tea that are not there. There's no record of who's there. I may be there being part of a conversation, then decide I'll go to the toilet. There's no record of how long a person is there. And I've also got to say, there's often conversations that are had in there that may be between two people sitting together, wider. I think we need to be very, very mindful that morning tea is our morning tea time, and I don't believe that anything that gets said in the lunchroom or the councillors' retreat can be considered to be formal occasion. Other than that, that's where we have our morning tea, and that's where we have our conversations.
And I think that's the clarification we need, Madam CEO. The difference in the example here is that there were external people invited in to participate in a formal conversation with councillors on a particular matter. It wasn't Councillor Guthrie, you and I sitting down and having a natter about, what we might think we should do to invest in X, Y, Z as a councillor. It wasn't that. So I think for clarity for all of us, because we tend to, try and work this out ourselves, but I think it's time that we've got advice from the department. We need to test that and put solid examples to them so we know we're doing the right thing.
And what I would say is that I would like to get advice when it's morning tea. I remember the cream buns that were being consumed, that I understood that was not an official briefing of council, that was morning tea, and the hospitality was just offered to people that were visiting, and that's what I understood it was. And the briefings happen out here, so I'd like to get legal advice on that, because I do think that is something.
Briefings just don't happen in this chamber. We've had briefings in other assets of council, facilities of council.
All
We've been on site.
all I would say is I remember the cream buns, and
I think it's irrelevant.
I don't think it's irrelevant, and I think this has been whipped into something that it's not, and I don't agree with it. Okay, we'll keep going with the agenda.
If everyone's had a chance to add to it, my thing that I'd like to add to it is if we could just have clarifications about dealing with conflicts, any conflicts at anywhere, because my take on it when I did my training was that a councillor couldn't engage in a conversation that would actually talk. If you have a conflict, you actually can't engage in a conversation, whether it be in a meeting, a briefing, or down the street, or out in the paddock. So I'd like that clarification. For me, it wasn't actually about the briefing, it's just about how we manage our conflicts.
Okay, can we get Councillor Burkett back in the room, please?
So are we going to determine this or not? Sorry,
Yeah, we've already done that,
have?
haven't we?
have we gone ahead? That's all right. It's all right. Mate,
Have we
apologies.
finished that last
7-0.
one for
Yeah, we have.
Hostplus?
Yep, that's all right.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yep, thank you. Just double checking.
L5 Variety Bash 2022 Road Permit Assistance, Council McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that council, one, waive the road maintenance permit fees of $253 for the Variety the Children's Charity New South Wales ACT 2022 event. 2, assist the club with the preparation of a traffic management plan and traffic guidance schemes for the temporary installation of a blow-up arch on Sunday the 14th of August 2022 in George Street, Roma. Oh, okay.
That's it.
No, it's not the CEO, just adding to it. Yeah, you're right. I'll read one out again when they finish.
Might have to start again then, Jeffrey.
That's it, Kev? Okay, I'll start again. The council, one, waive the road maintenance permit fees of $253 for the Variety the Children's Charity New South Wales ACT 2022 event, with funds drawn from the sponsorship bucket GL 2887.2249.2001, and 2, assist the club with the preparation of a traffic management plan and traffic guidance scheme for the temporary installation of a blow-up arch on Sunday 14th of August 2022 in George Street, Roma, with funds drawn from in-kind assistant minor GL 2887.2246.
Okay, we have a seconder, Councillor Ladbroke. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
A question, if I
Please
may.
go ahead.
Through you, Mr Mayor. CEO, when we go sponsorship budget and that's the number, or in-kind assistance as a number, we were actually getting a thing to show us where we're up to with that expenditure in our reports. We can't sort of get that if we're only making up the numbers as they come on the screen.
Yeah, sorry, apologies, councillor. Through the chair, the events are the 14th of August 2022, and these will be coming out of the 22-23 budget. So you've got a full budget allocation in both sponsorships and in kind.
So I'm just asking, in the future then,
Yep,
can we
sure.
always see where we're up to in
Yeah, a
those
balance. Yep,
things?
sure,
Thank
no
you.
problems.
Councillor McMullen.
I was just going to speak.
Please go ahead.
To the Mr Mayor, most of this was approved 2 years ago, but with COVID hit, it got pushed back, and then they tried to have it last year, so it's probably just a rehash of it again for the current year, for the current event that's actually happening this time. So it's going to be quite a big event for the town, yeah.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak For or against the motion? I certainly will say that, yeah, it's on all counts. Variety Bash has been going for a long time. It's good to see they're interacting with local attractions and so forth, and I think this is, you know, just good for the whole community, and obviously also the people that benefit from the charity. Okay, does the mover wish to sum up?
No, I'm right, thanks, Mr
We'll
Mayor.
go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Okay, so do we have anyone to move into close? All right, conflicts, yep, good.
An item without notice.
Oh yeah, item without notice. Do you want to do that first? Is that got to go
As part of confidential.
as confidential? Righto, so we've got some wording if someone wants to move that. Councillor Guthrie first, do you want to do your conflict?
Yeah, I don't have a conflict. I just wanted to bring in another agenda item without notice.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I don't have a
So that's what you're
conflict.
doing, yep, right.
Just with regard to, I've been contacted by a family in Injune who have received a supplementary rates notice and the date of their, so I just would like to present a request for extension of payment, the due date for their rate assessment to be considered in confidential. What other information would you like? Would you like to know the actual?
Just read out the yellow bit.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes, I would like to request an extension for the due date of the rate assessment notice 15020274 item, maybe LC4, to be included in the late confidential agenda.
Yeah, we have a second, Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
I just wonder, what's on the point that Councillor Guthrie just made in bringing this to our attention, the resolution from a fortnight ago in the extensions for due dates, that was on the proviso that we were going to have that briefing last week, and due to extenuating circumstances that didn't happen. I can't remember what that date was, and so do we need to?
There's reports, I
30th.
think.
End of the month, so we
Yeah,
need
through
to
the
shift
But
it.
is all of them? Every single.
Through the chair, I certainly can take the question on notice and double check, but my
We wouldn't want to
understanding
miss
was
any. Yeah, is
that
my
the
point.
30 was, everybody was the 30th of June.
Yeah. So we need to push that another month.
That's not in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that is.
Councillor. Yeah.
So just following on this particular one that I was contacted back
C2.
was due on the 10th of the 6th, and the comment made was they get a weekly mail service, so they couldn't have met the date anyway, and I just said, look, maybe it can be considered as an extension, and then we determine the outcome, but
Yeah,
this is just
certainly.
an extension.
And look, through the chair, when the other reports were written, we recognised that we had an issue of extenuating circumstances with the briefing. We were concerned that that could potentially have gone longer, and we needed to make sure extensions were in place first, and so we could have adequate discussion. So certainly understand that that's still an issue.
Okay, so does anyone wish to speak?
Mayor, sorry, can I just, back to my original point, I'm aware of LC2, but there was a whole list of them we did at the previous meeting, which we need to reconsider again today, because their due date, from memory, was the 30th of this month, and that was on the condition that we were going to have our briefing last week. We haven't, so we need to reconsider all of those again and extend their due dates.
Do you have the assessment numbers from the last
Yeah,
meeting
I've
there?
just seen them in the minutes.
Kel, did you put them up?
Like there'd be something like 20 of them or something. surely.
Resolution
There
is
The last,
Yep.
in the last
the
minute.
6th.
So I just,
22,
the reason I raise it now, do we need to add that
add
to
that
the
to the
agenda so we can consider that in committee, in closed?
Page 15
Certainly can, as
of the minutes.
Minutes, please.
What page, John?
15 of the minutes.
I've got page 32. is the actual,
Extension on due date for rate assessments. One.
Yeah, last meeting.
page 32's got the actual moved resolution by Councillor Neal and Councillor Burkett.
It'll have a
Well,
heap
this
of
one's got
numbers.
Councillor Gold and me. I don't know.
That's moving
So I now would have
Oh.
as a
Actually,
conflict
what
of
you did.
interest
Oh,
if
sorry,
we
further
address
on to the
that and
conflict.
roll them all in together, because there was one particular one that was mentioned
Yeah,
2 weeks
LC
ago. that I-
10.
Do it separately. We'll do
Yes.
it separately.
LC 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Resolutions over the page.
Yeah, from the previous, from
Because
the
there was
last
two on
meeting.
the other one too, two separate resolutions. Councillor Guthrie had a conflict. It's not up, not yet. No, it's 11.
I see. So we need to pull the assessment numbers from LC 10 from the previous meeting and all the ones from LC 11,
Yep, through the chair. Yes.
which is what, LC 11 was what you had the conflict on, Councillor.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But we can do it as two separate ones, so.
But the one that's got nearly all of them in is the one that Councillor Guthrie had the conflict on, so.
Yeah, that's right.
So we can just do this
Yep,
in,
through the chair.
yep, couple of,
You have to do it again?
Yeah, I will. I'll have to do a conflict. So circumstances haven't changed.
You just-
So,
I'm going to.
Yeah, but you don't.
So through the chair, just in summary to what the council has raised is, we actually had two resolutions in the last meeting in relation to rates extensions. One was a resolution from LC 10 and one was a resolution from LC 11. So you've got a new item without notice. You could put up these two items as separate items if you wanted to, or conclude them together and extend that extension for both of them.
Madam CEO, given the fact that I've actually moved that particular agenda and I have a conflict for the one from previously, I would request that they be two separate,
Yep.
just to keep
Or
it
three.
neat
Yes.
for my.
Well, we've already done the one that Councillor Guthrie raised. We
That's
voted on
right,
that, so
fine.
that's on
Yeah,
there.
it's just, you can split LC 10 and LC 11, or you can combine them
I
together.
don't think we've voted on it yet, have we?
We voted on including Councillor Guthrie's on the agenda.
The new one today,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, it's just this one.
All right, okay.
so we've got to do the other two, the LC 10 and the LC 11, we've got to keep them separate because we separated them last time because Councillor
Yes.
Guthrie had a conflict, so
Yep.
why wouldn't we separate them again?
So, Mayor, I'll move that we include requests for extension of due date for rate assessments 150200142 on the agenda.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Mayor, I'll move that we include requests for extension on due date for rate assessments 150200167, 150199161, 150200183, 150049997, 150200019, 150200274, 150200175, 150200324, 150200308, 150200209, 150199995, and 1301061 as an item for consideration on today's agenda.
Righto, so is that separate to
Can
your
I just,
conflict?
no, that's my conflict, so can I
Right.
just mention that I have a conflict with that particular one there?
And
So
you've already declared it,
I
haven't
have already declared
you? So
it.
what are you doing? You're leaving?
I'm going to leave the room while you.
Well, we're not doing it yet,
This is
right?
just putting it on the
This is
agenda.
just putting it on the agenda.
This
On
is
the
just,
agenda.
just getting it on the
Yeah, I'll
agenda,
second
not
it.
Yeah,
making
haven't
a
done it
decision
yet.
on the item. Yeah.
I'll second it,
Just
Mr
to
Mayor.
put in a light.
Through the chair, though, as a matter of course, if you have a conflict, I
shouldn't
would have
be part
thought
of-
that
yeah, I
she
think I
would
should
leave
be
the
part
room
of it.
before the items. She still has an interest in the item to even get it on the agenda.
That's up to the council.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the councillor has left the room. Okay, so we have a second to Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0.
Mayor, would you just adjourn now rather than going to committee, then coming out of committee to adjourn to then do the special meeting?
Yeah, we can break for morning tea now.
Sorry, you're not breaking for morning tea. You're adjourning this current meeting, aren't you?
No, I'm going to break for morning tea and we'll come back. Well, I'm adjourning the meeting now. With the ordinary meeting,
May I move, make it a bit quicker, a procedural motion?
L1.
Good.
And
I'm going to get the number right now.
Councillor McMullen, but are we going to go into close first and get that done? No.
Right one for
what was the other one, Logan?
C3, that the costings and the map be made available in the open agenda item, as in just the costings and the mapping, the new mapping.
Righto. So you're
Doesn't matter
moving,
doing
you're
electronic.
moving that, moving,
They be added to the agenda. And
Sorry, sorry, procedural motion. Are you moving that C3 come out from confidential items to open?
well, I don't know whether they want the whole report. We need the map and the costings.
I read it.
We
Well,
can't.
you can bring it out.
Yeah,
well,
through the chair.
Bring the whole thing
There's
out.
nothing, there's nothing in there that's
As long as it's all
of an issue.
No, it's not Sneaker, I just didn't think we could make the whole.
Yeah, you can.
I've got a,
There's nothing in there that's confidential.
But you don't have to move.
okay, no, when, eh?
You might have to move the order.
No, it's just moving to bring it out of
Okay,
To deal with
closed
it
to
in
open.
open.
Yeah.
right. When do we do that though? We
You can do it.
we're in open, so you can,
I'll move C3 be moved into open.
righto, do we have a seconder?
Second then?
Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, this might be late in the day, but I thought all these going to be in open anyway. Like, how come you had to do that?
The whole report is now in open.
The whole report, because,
So everyone can see it.
Not everyone can see what's in
no,
here.
that's right, that's
That's
why I
the
wanted
only
the map
reason.
and the
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
Because the way a normal is you just read out the resolution.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
we move, yeah.
I'll move that in accordance with the provision of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the council resolve to close the meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider as necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides matters to be discussed and an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. C1, update on Roma Airport Cafe. C2, application rates, payment arrangement assessment 14026 that's been removed. LC1, Roma Quarry crushing and screening assets. LC.2, request for extension of due date for rate assessment for lot 33 and lot 34, SP 321791 to consider a concession. LC3, Injune Retirement Village support. LC4, request for extension of due date for rate assessment number 1502024. LC5, extension, request for extension on due date for rate assessment 150200142. LC6, the new item request for extension on due date for rate assessments as listed.
Yeah. Oh, they're not in.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Okay.
Carol, can you just go back to them, can you please?
So where we,
What's Kel got first?
Can I do it in the open?
C1? C1, update on Roma Airport Cafe. Councillor
I'll
O'Neill.
move this lays on the table until an upcoming council meeting.
All those, does anyone wish to speak? All those in favour? 8-0.
Who was that, George seconded?
No one
No,
seconded,
we
just
didn't have to
moved
do
to lay it
that.
on the
That's
table.
C2,
So do we have to remove that from the agenda?
Yeah.
C2.
C2
Tyson, I
Rural
think we've
Fire
done that,
Brigade
haven't we?
special charge.
I'll move that we remove that from the agenda. Remove C2 Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2022-23 from the
Do you
agenda.
have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, all those in favour?
Funny how these hands get up
8-0.
quick, don't they now? We're on a home stretch. and we Don't forget to look this way either, Mr Gold.
Okay.
So C3's gone.
Yeah, LC1.
Well, C3's now in open.
Yep.
Which we're now in open.
So we can go with that?
Yep.
You want that first, didn't you, Councillor?
Righto, well, it's, what is it called now?
C3?
Is it still C3?
It'll change, but I'm not sure.
No,
It will most likely be LC4. Oh, no, it won't be, sorry. Yeah, no.
we'll just leave it in C3 till
I'll leave
later.
it that. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
It's C3, but it's not C3.
Yeah.
Proposed sale of Newbon Street, Roma. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I move that Council 1, receive and note the report. 2, subdivide its vacant land bordered by Newbon Street, Tiffin Street, Edward Street South and Corfe Road into 4 blocks. 3, categorise the 7 hectares bordered by Newbon and Tiffin Streets for future cemetery reserve. 4, retain the drainage channel area of 10.5 hectares. 5, submit the 5 hectares fronting Edward Street South and the 3.8 hectares fronting Corfe Road for sale by tender. 2, the subdivision costs be funded from council infrastructure reserves and reimbursed from the land sales. I should have put the council reserve costs of $72,434, Kel.
So was that your late item on? You continued on
That's-
with that?
Just a
No.
copy and paste for Kel.
That's what I'm just trying to work out if it's.
No, I've changed it from the last time, Kel. So I'll give you a copy of this, sorry. Yeah, I meant to tell you that. And 7, council allocate the project in the 2022-23 budget.
Do you want me to take that to Kelly?
Well, we've got to see if it gets up first.
Can you, sorry,
Yeah.
Councillor McMullen, Mayor, can you read that all again?
Yeah.
Please?
That Council 1, receive and note the report. Council 2, subdivide its vacant land bordered by Newbon Street, Tiffin Street, Edward Street South and Corfe Road into 4 blocks. 3, well actually you can say as per the map there, Kel, I'll give it to you anyway. Now that we've 3, categorise the 7 hectares bordered by Newbon and Tiffin Streets for the future cemetery reserve. I can now say shaded in green. 4, retain the drainage channel area of 10.5 hectares shaded in purple. 5, submit the 5 hectares fronting Edward Street South and the 3.8 hectares fronting Corfe Road shaded in orange for sale by tender. 6, the subdivision costs of $72,434 be funded from council's infrastructure reserves and be reimbursed from the land sales. And 7, council allocate the project in the 2022-23 budget.
We have a second, and Councillor Burkett.
Sorry,
Question.
Councillor McMullen, can you just say the figures again, please?
72,400.
It's in where, sorry?
In the pink, in the report.
On page 17.
Oh, sorry, all right, thank you, yeah.
Just have a question.
Please go
Mayor
ahead.
Gold. I forgot what I was going to say. No, what I was going to say is, when you do we have to call tenders?
Oh.
You know, instead of putting it on the open market, because some people probably wouldn't tender for it, but if they did, do you understand what I mean? Yeah,
Overtired.
you know what I mean, like,
Look, through the chair, if council is selling non-current assets, you have to do it through some transparency process, which is either by tender or by auction. In the event that fails.
But
but I just thought if it was on the open
Yeah,
market,
no,
it's
but that's
probably
what-
better to sell
we did,
like that.
But we did change the Injune one to open market, didn't we?
That's enough, you lot.
I haven't had any. It's lack of food.
I
That's
bet-
what's done it.
I bet if you gave him $10, he didn't forget.
Need to get ministerial approval to do something.
But we can address that down the track anyway. Yeah. So-
What, the tender system or what?
So what was the answer? I didn't hear the answer.
We can talk about it down the track at a different route.
We've got to move this.
Keep going. Righto, so we had a mover, and that everyone's clear on what has been moved. Now we need to,
That is seconded, the movers, Councillor Burkett.
Councillor Burkett. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Mr Mayor, I just think, by doing, if this resolution gets up, we've honoured, as I said before, we've honoured the resolution in the previous term of council, getting the land for, or getting extra additional backup land for the cemetery. The drainage purposes as requested will still be there for council. Council can probably look at leasing them down the track. It'll be there if any further adjustments need to be due to drainage, and I think both the 5 hectares and the 3 hectare blocks, if we can sell them, I think they'll be attractive to some people because there's some good potential there to develop them.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? I'll speak against the motion. I certainly understand the Deputy Mayor's idea. I just am disappointed that I believe that there's so much we could use for community use. I realise some of the land will still be available for that, but I do believe that having land in town is very expensive for newcomers to the region. I believe there's a lot of community benefit, and since council's already secured this land, it's much easier to keep land rather than selling it off, and we don't know whether it's going to be of benefit to the whole region by selling it. So I have a fundamental view that council should have, ability to have land in reserve, for generations to come. So I certainly won't be supporting this motion. Would someone like to speak for the motion? Councillor Burkett?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I do take on board what you said, but I think this covers a lot of those options, and it's one way we can recoup a bit of money to do future developments in other areas, which is needing at the moment. And it does tick the boxes with the horse, people that have a horse in town. There's still a fair bit of area there, so I think it's a good move forward.
Okay, does someone wish to speak against or for the motion? Councillor O'Neill?
Yeah, I'll speak for it. I was part of the council that made the decision to purchase the land, and it was purchased because we wanted to future-proof the cemetery. I think the proposal that the Deputy Mayor's put forward certainly does that, but it also opens up a good opportunity for council to sell a couple of lots that could be used for subdivision. We need more houses in town at the moment, and if this spurs a developer along to meet the current demand, then I think that's only a good thing. The revenue that will be generated from the sale of this can be and should be reinvested into future housing. We have future-proofed in terms of land in this community. We purchased the police paddock, and there's ample opportunities there to open that up further for residential, rural residential blocks. And so I'm very happy to support this. I can see a lot of work has gone into it, and I do congratulate the Deputy Mayor for putting this proposal before council.
Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Mr Mayor, I appreciate what everyone's thought, and I understand what you're saying, but as it's already been said, I think there's a good chance to recoup some money. I know the depreciation on these blocks aren't probably great in the scheme of our depreciation, but it's a one step forward to reducing depreciation a little bit, and we've got other blocks of land, that have been recently purchased. As Councillor O'Neill said, the police paddock's been there before I came on council, but council recently purchased another block of land with a asset on it, so some of this money, I believe, can go somewhere. I'm not saying where to allocate it, but can go towards helping some of these other projects or help fund them, the depreciation on them.
Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 7-1 if I can call for a division. Okay,
Don't you speak.
moving on.
Not doing this one, that's null and void now.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mr Mayor, we'll have to go to
L1.
L1. L1. It's on now,
Page 2.
page 2 on L1, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, L1, proposed sale of Newbon Street, Roma.
I move this be removed from the agenda.
We have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Okay,
Mr
LC.
Nikel?
We're still going though.
LC1.
We've got
LC1.
LC1.
That's what I said,
The plumbing one,
We've
not
done
the plumbing, not the plumbing one,
LC1, Roma Quarry crushing and screening assets. Do we have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 include the purchase of the following quarry planned items in draft 2022-23 budget estimated for a total cost of 1.895 million. A mobile 40-inch 1 metre cone crusher with reticulating screen. B heavy duty screen 16 foot by 5 foot. C triple deck screen 20 foot by 5 foot. 2, continue to use the services of contract crushing service provider to assist in meeting customer demand where this exists above the capability of council's on-site equipment. 3, transfer quarry crushing and screening assets to the Roma Quarry from council's plan department with ongoing maintenance of the equipment managed at a site level to ensure legislative obligations are met. 4, further investigate the option of the Roma Quarry staff and the equipment to undertake crushing at council's borrow pits.
Okay.
No, doesn't matter, whoever.
Councillor Guthrie, I think, just. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I think this is a great way forward for the quarry. I think it's one way we can start making some good money with better equipment and more efficiency. And after our deputation or briefing with council staff, I think it's a great way forward.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I definitely believe that we need to be state-of-the-art with the quarry. We've got some very good knowledge in the quarry at the moment, and I think we need to back them and help give a benefit for the quarry for the greater Maranoa community. Now, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the move wish to sum up?
No, thanks.
We'll
Mr.
go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0.
I think we haven't removed
I
it
think
yet.
we
have
got
we?
rid of it, didn't we?
LC2, request for an extension on due date.
I'll move that this item be removed from the agenda.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen, any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. LC3, Injune Retirement Village. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I move we lay this on the table until a future meeting.
Okay, all those in favour? 8-0. What's-
Yeah, we must have this
what
one.
next?
Mr Nikel?
Yeah.
LC4.
And L2.
Oh, the additional ones, that's right.
L2. 11-2.
Request for an extension on due date for rate assessment number 150202774.
Okay.
Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move this item be removed from the agenda.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. All those in favour? 8-0. LC.5 request for extension on due date for rate assessment number 150201442.
Mr Mayor, can I just advise that I've previously identified
I
a
don't know if this is
conflict
the
of
one.
interest?
And
Oh.
why is it my name in there? Oh. Okay.
So is the number right or not?
The number's correct.
It's the next one, Councillor Guthrie, that you've got
In the big group.
The big
yeah.
one.
The big group, yeah.
Just trying to remember what this one is.
So this one is not one that anyone's got a conflict of that we know
This is not
of.
my neighbour.
That's right, no one has a conflict on this.
This is not my neighbour, is it?
I can't tell you that because I don't keep up with all of it, but
The lady you spoke about before.
well, this isn't me.
through the
You're seeing my name there, but I didn't
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
put this up
Sorry,
last
that
month.
was my hint that your name was there.
I do know the name. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's on this.
7. Number 7 on this.
Oh, in code. Hey, this late at night, we're in code. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's one you should
Yeah,
move this.
no, I know about this.
Oh, I think I know now. Yeah. I haven't.
I'm happy to move that council resolve pursuant to section 121B Local Government Regulation 2012, grant the landowner a concession by way of agreeing to defer until 31st of July 2022 payment of the current rates and charges for the property shown on assessment number 150201442. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Okay, what do we got next, Kel?
LC6 and it's the multiple items.
I've got a
This is the one.
Mr Mayor, I've already declared a conflict.
Oh, you still got to call the thing.
Mayor, can I just suggest that you just say LC6 request for extension and not do all the, because
Righto.
I'm happy to move it and I won't be doing that either.
Okay, LC6 request for extension on due date for rate assessments as followed. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that the council resolve pursuant to section 121B Local Government Regulation 2012 grant the land owners a concession by way of agreeing to defer until the 31st of July 2022 payment of the current rates and charges for the property shown on assessments as listed.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0.
Do you have 11.2?
Is that
Yeah, 11.2.
in the white, obviously?
Can,
So that's what that is though, isn't it?
Enter,
It's
isn't
the
it?
tender.
can we take them and leave that till special meeting?
We just move to the next
Right.
thing.
Oh, that's just, yeah.
Oh, you got to call it first.
So what is it, 11.2?
53
Page
it is.
53 of the open regional.
We always end up back where we started.
11.3, tender 22000 auctioneering services for the disposal of current vehicles, plant and equipment assets. Councillor
Mr
Burkett.
Mayor, I'll move this liaison table to a future meeting.
All those in favour? 8-0.
When, just a question, when we say for a further meeting, for
Future.
more information as well,
We've got the information.
We just gotta
There,
read
we've
it.
just got to read it.
Do you wanna take it
It's on
home
the-
for
Okay.
homework?
No, but that's a good point. You're supposed to have a reason, and that's the reason to digest the information. You happy with that, councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Righto.
So we'll get
Okay.
that information.
We've got it on your cover.
Homework.
Well, there's some here, but you can ask for a hard copy to digest it.
That'd
if
be
you'd
good,
like.
if I can.
That is
So
a hard
Kel-
copy, isn't
That
it?
is a
I'll
hard
wait.
copy.
Yeah, but
I'll come over
if you'd
and
like one.
when soon as you take
Okay,
Etched in
so is
steel.
there any further business, councillors? Okay, I'll close the meeting at 7:29 PM. Thank you for your attendance.